Hello everybody, how are you guys? We're having so much fun in Atlanta. It's a hot, humid night, about 79 degrees right now. Beautiful out here. It's people are out walking and getting ice cream, couples, families. It's a little late for kids at this point. It's 9:34. Well, I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know. But you see a lot of people out and about. I'm just taking in the sights. I don't know where I am, to be honest with you, half the time. And we threw out some more fun facts about communities like Cabbagetown and Edgewood earlier today. And what a reaction. I got to thank you guys for supporting the channel, supporting the videos, because it's just amazing how when you talk about somebody's community and you share with them, stuff that they might not have ever known before, and certainly I haven't. I mean, I'm from out of town. Then it's a really rewarding feeling. And with that in mind, we're going to just continue on. We're going to do 3 more fun facts about communities in Atlanta. And guys, we're going to start with a community that everybody talks about. It's growing. It's Bankhead. Now, Bankhead was founded in, let me look at my notes, 1799. So it's one of the older communities in town. It's near the city center. It's near what I call the city center, what I guess is more commonly known as Midtown. So Bankhead, yeah, 1799. Now, way back when, that was the financial core of the city, guys. All of the banks were in one area. Now, it's kind of funny because LA had a similar thing happen, and that is, if you look at the historic core of LA, it's there because that's where the banks were. And then, when the 70s came, and the banks wanted to build new skyscrapers, they moved down. I'm talking about Los Angeles now. They moved down a few blocks to Figueroa, Flower, right through there, right? And built their skyscrapers. Well, that's the same thing that happened here. Bankhead was the original financial core of Atlanta. So all of the big banks, okay? The Bank of South Georgia, all right? The Bank of Cabbagetown. We're talking, the 1800s, basically. Before that, 1700s, but early 1800s, right in there, long time ago. The Bank of Northwest Georgia, the Bank of Augusta, the Bank of Edgetown. All of these banks were in Bankhead. And as a result, that was where some of the original action was, because who had the money? It was the bankers. And they'd come rolling out of those buildings, and that's why you see all those historic buildings over in Bankhead. They'd come rolling out of those buildings in 1820 with money in their pockets, and what do? They stop by the bar. They have a cocktail. So now you have nightlife, right? They want a bite to eat. Now you have restaurants. And so the original scene, the original activity and nightlife and entertainment center for Atlanta was in Bankhead. And then, of course, same thing happened. All of the banks moved to Midtown, where they are now. And we're talking now there's 70, 80, 100 banks in Midtown Atlanta. I mean, when you have an area the size of 7 football fields, like Midtown, and it's covered with 200, 300 banks, headquarters. I mean, you're talking about a major shift in the financial power structure of a community. But now Bankhead has come around again, and it's cool. It's cool. The kids love it, guys, because now they can go get a condo in an old bank, or even an apartment. You can rent an apartment in an old school bank building in Bankhead. Now, you've never had more fun until you've spent the night in a vault. And maybe your friends, you invite them over, come on over, I got the condo, we got a vault in the back, and maybe they prank you and they lock you in the vault. I mean, that's good times, guys. They lock you in the vault and you can't breathe and you're laughing your head off. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you can only get in Bankhead. All right, that's a fun neighborhood. It's on its way back. You should check it out. And now we're going to talk about Underwood Hills. Now, Underwood Hills, it was one of the original suburbs of Atlanta, because you had all the bankers, and where do they want to live? They want to live in a nice area, and that was that's why Underwood Hills. And it's named after George C.P. Underwood, who built the original home there and invited all his other banker friends to come on out there and build a house. In fact, the George C.P. Underwood house is still there, and you can take a tour. And part of the tour is they'll take you down in the third basement. Now, most places that have a basement, there's only one. And maybe there's a second basement, in the days of Prohibition, they had a second basement, right? That's where they kept all the stock. This is a third basement because George C.P. Underwood, he was doing more than running some rum during Prohibition. He was running some illegal gambling down there on the third basement. So now, today, you can go down there and they still have all of the old roulette wheels, all of the old gambling tables down there. And in fact, once a week, they'll let you go down there and you can gamble just like it's Vegas. You can gamble just like it is Vegas. Once a week. Gotta watch out for this guy who was dancing in the street there. Gotta watch out for people dancing in the street. I'm used to that though, LA. And just like old home, just like being at home. And you can gamble there once a week, guys. Now, Georgia state law doesn't allow any more gambling than that, so don't ask. Some people say, hey, man, can we keep it going? I'm on a roll. I'm making the money. And they're like, no, sir. I'm sorry, sir. You can only gamble once a week here at the George C.P. Underwood House in Underwood Hills. And that's the second of our fun neighborhood focus that we're doing. And golly, guys, we're getting so much feedback on these communities, so many things that we didn't know before. And of course, I'm new. I don't know any of this stuff. Like, for example, let's look at the third of our 3 neighborhood focuses in this video, and it's Sylvan Hills. Sylvan is spelled Sylvan, Hills. Now, that wasn't the original name. The original name was Silver Fox, and Silver Fox was named after one of the original country artists that lived in that town, in that neighborhood, and they called him the Silver Fox. Now, this again also is in the 1800s. This is way back. A lot of these towns are named after things that happened in the 1800s. That's why you're like, I never heard of George C.P. Underwood. Well, of course not, unless you're 175 years old. And if you are, you look pretty good. You look pretty good for that age. And happy birthday to you, in case I don't see you. So, Sylvan Hills was originally called Silver Fox, and the original, you might be saying, oh, Kenny Rogers. Well, yeah. But now, in the old days, the Silver Fox was somebody else. And it was Eddie Whitwillow. Eddie Whitwillow had a bunch of country hits, and they didn't go any farther than the borders of Georgia. He was a star in Georgia and no farther. And he didn't want to go any farther than Georgia because he said, Georgia born, Georgia die. And he didn't want to risk being in Florida or Alabama or some other godforsaken place, and all of a sudden he dies and he's not in Georgia. He wanted to die in Georgia because he was born on Georgia soil, guys. Now you say, well, why don't they could just cart him back to Georgia from Alabama or wherever the hell? But that's not how he saw it, guys. And of course, we all have different premonitions, different customs, different ideas in our head. And this guy just had all kinds of Georgia hits. He had a song called Georgia in My Shoulder, which talked about a ailment that he had in his shoulder. and he rubbed some Georgia red clay on it, and it cleared it right up. He had a song called Georgia Shoe Cushions, which talked about the earlier versions of the Scholl's shoe cushion that you can buy at Walmart or wherever the hell. And he made out of the lining between his saddle and the horse. It's called a saddle liner, and he'd cut out a shoe shape, and he'd slide it right into his shoe, and all of a sudden he had the light stride and bounce of a man half his age. And he wrote songs about all of these things, guys. He was a major star in Georgia, and certainly in Atlanta. I don't think he bought his own meal between the ages of 25 and 75 when he died, because he was a star. They're like, George, come on, come right in. Your money's no good here, George. George. Watch out for those bumps. So then you're saying, well, why did they just keep the name Silver Fox? That's a good name for a town, Silver Fox. Well, when he died, in his will, it said that they had to change the name to something else because he didn't want there to be a fuss. He didn't want people coming around the house and saying, we want to take a tour of the Silver Fox's house. He didn't want, at that time, teenage girls climbing the windows, climbing the walls, trying to get down the chimney. And so he said to his kin, he said, if you would change the name, that would help, and it would keep the peace. It would make things much easier to handle for my daughter and all the kin trying to maintain the household after I'm gone. And they came up with the name Sylvan Hills, and it's been that way ever since. Guys, it's unbelievable, all the excitement, all the things we're learning about Atlanta. We're driving around, understanding the streets, getting the flow, the lay of the land. I hope you enjoyed those 3 focuses on neighborhoods here in Atlanta. We're going to have so many more, and gosh, shoot us a note on the Twitter machine over there, on the YouTuber, on the Google head, whatever you got, because, man, we want to reach out. We want to talk to people. We want to press the flesh. We want to kiss babies. Well, okay, we won't kiss your baby, but we will look at your baby and say, that is a beautiful child. We will look at your kid. We'll look at your kid. We won't touch it or kiss it, but we'll look at him and we'll go, man, that is one handsome baby. I don't know how you got such a handsome kid, but look at that kid right there. He's got some beautiful eyes. She's got some beautiful nose. And I'll bet if she doesn't cry but a whit. And then you'll say, oh, you don't know. She cries. Oh, she cries. I'm telling you. And we'll laugh and we'll laugh and we'll laugh. Guys, it's going to be fun.